Recording in progress.
Thank you and good evening. Welcome to the Yarmouth Select Board meeting of August 26th, 2025. If we could please start with the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be great. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I will take a motion to go into executive session to return to open session approximately around 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Well, we have to read the motion. So the motion is that the Yarmouth Select Board enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, to discuss the possible purchase of property, Kingsway, Nottingham Drive parcel, map 142, lot 17, and section 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to litigation involving Blue Sky Towers 3 LLC 1044 Route 28, South Yarmouth. If the chair declares an open meeting to have a detrimental effect on negotiation position of the public body, which we do, so with that,
I so make with the motion.
is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Need to take
Okay.
a roll.
Yeah, roll call vote, please, to go into executive
Forrest
session.
votes aye.
McGurran votes aye.
Joyce votes aye.
Argo, aye.
Post aye, and we are in executive session to return to public session. Thank you. crazy person walked into this room. I want to get out the back.
Yeah, yeah. Take a long time to get out those windows.
I'll give you 10.
I'll give you 20. I'll give you $1.380.
You're amazed if the motivation was there, what you could do.
Yeah, this is true.
Let's hope we never have to worry about it, but it is something I always think of.
True.
All right, are we all set? We are all set. All right, so we did our Pledge of Allegiance. We are back in public session, and we are going to start with our 6 p.m. agenda item of announcements. Does anybody have announcements?
I just wanted to make a quick comment, very, very, very quick. I was at the transfer station today in a new car. Of course, I totally forgot that the new car doesn't have the dump sticker, transfer station sticker. And the fellow stopped me, and he was so very good at his job by telling me that there were no ifs, ands, or buts. I didn't have a sticker and I didn't have a coupon and I was not going to be using the transfer station. And I thought,
Excellent.
very good work. So kudos to the transfer station person who turned me away today. Thank you.
Okay, Joyce, you have anything?
Nope, I'm good.
No confessionals here.
Bob, do you have any announcements?
No announcements.
Okay, great. So we are going to move to our 6:05 public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to make a comment, please?
I'm here. Should I move or should
Yes,
I?
ma'am, come to the microphone. Please identify yourself for the record.
Sure. These things aren't light.
No.
No.
Well, I'm going to use my tablet,
Okay.
if it's okay.
Oh.
My name is, good evening, everybody. My name is Nancy Trafton, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself to explain why I'm here and why Yarmouth is so important to me.
Is this a less than a 5-minute presentation? Okay.
I currently live in West Barnstable, and there I served on the town's planning board. I chaired the committee that drafted my village's component of the local comprehensive plan, and I worked to implement its goals through zoning changes. I devoted many hours to fundraising for my library, and in 2016, my library board honored me with the Citizen of the Year award.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I resided in Yarmouth for 23 years. I brought my 2 sons up here. I served on a number of Yarmouth's town boards and committees. I was on the Yarmouth Planning Board for about a decade, serving as both clerk and chair. I was on the Sign Code Review Committee, the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee, and most important to me, I co-chaired the Land Acquisition and Town Property Committee. That committee, working with the town planner and others, was responsible for identifying and recommending the taking or friendly purchase of hundreds of acres of land for open space, recreation, wellfield protection, and affordable housing purposes. On January 7, 1987 alone, our committee successfully convinced town meeting voters to reach into their pockets and vote to acquire nearly 600 acres of land. We were able to convince voters to do this without benefit of the land bank or CPC funds. Prescient taxpayers saw the need for open space preservation to protect the town's future. It was a big win for the town and one that I'm very proud of. The reason that I'm here tonight is to talk about the Joshua Sears Playground. The history of how this playground came to be is laid out in your town records. In 1927, the planning board reported on the importance of having a playground on both the north and the south sides of town in order that the children have, and I quote, healthy bodies and healthy minds. In February 1931, the town meeting voted a series of articles for the explicit purpose of securing that property for a playground. And as a result, the land was acquired by the town in 1935. It was accomplished through a gift to the town from a trust established under the will of Joshua Sears, and it also provided for the playground's care. The trustees of the Sears Trust, the Barnstable Probate Court, the Attorney General of the Commonwealth, and the town meeting all approved the use of the Sears Trust explicitly for the purpose of a playground. That clear charge of purpose confers important restrictions on the land's use today. Now, I understand the town is considering developing this land. As much as I support libraries, this is not the place to put any building or make any change to the land's long-term use as a playground. I devoted many hours to the acquisition of open space for this town. I did it with an expectation that protecting it would be first and foremost in the minds of town leaders. The Joshua Sears Playground that more than qualifies as open space. It has been used as such for close to 100 years. According to your Open Space and Recreation Plan in Table 5-6, under Town of Yarmouth Recreation Lands, the Joshua Sears Playground is identified as protected open space in recreational use. The Open Space and Recreation Plan goals stated in 6.2 are very clear. They state a need to, and I quote, protect Yarmouth's recreational and conservation open space properties. It also states a goal to, quote, concentrate on maintaining and upgrading existing open spaces. In developing this plan, respondents to the plan survey were very clear in their objectives. They gave a high priority rating to the following matters: preserving land for natural resource protection, concentrating development in suitable areas to preserve meaningful open space, and the need to promote redevelopment over greenfield development. Based on the sole purpose of acquiring the land on which the playground is located and its continuous use being consistent with that purpose for 90 years, I am convinced that it has full protection as open space under Article 97, which is a part of our state's constitution. It ensures that protected lands shall not be used for another purpose without a roll call vote of 2/3 of the state legislature. Article 97 and open space protection have evolved and strengthened in recent years. Most notable is the 2017 Supreme Judicial Court decision in Smith v. Westfield, in which the town was barred from building a school on a site that had been used as a public playground for more than 60 years. The Westfield case near mirrors the plan to construct a library on the public Joshua Sears Playground. It's interesting to point out that the APCC, the Audubon Society, the Conservation Law Foundation, the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions, and the trustees of the reservation, among others, all wrote amicus briefs in support of the outcome of the Smith versus Westfield case. One wise jurist in the Westfield case said, "The overriding point of Article 97 is to insulate dedicated parkland from short-term political pressure." Open space protection was also given a boost when in 2022, Governor Charlie Baker signed the Public Lands Preservation Act to strengthen protections for open space and parklands, ensuring that there is no net loss to publicly held open space. This means in order to place a library on this site, you would need to provide a parcel of land not currently in open space, equivalent to or better than the one the Joshua Sears Playground sits on today. After that, you would need a 2/3 vote of the legislature to approve the exchange. I respectfully request that you stop to confer with the town's legal counsel before continuing your plan to even consider utilizing any portion of that land for use as a library on what I firmly believe is Chapter 97 protected public parkland that has been in open space use for 90 years. I'm also very discouraged to think that the town would choose to construct a library anywhere on open land in proximity to the Joshua Sears Playground. The entire site is a much-needed and welcome greenscape, playground, and park on an overdeveloped highway that offers little visual respite. Redeveloping an existing site for the use of the library would be a more appropriate land use and in keeping with the goals set out in the Open Space and Recreation Plan. That document was driven by the wishes of the townspeople. Apologize here.
Yeah, if you
I'm
don't-
asking you to honor their decision and insulate that entire parkland from short-term political pressure.
Okay.
Thank
If you
you.
don't mind, I know you probably cut some of that off. If you want to submit that in an email to us so we have all of it, that would be
Sure,
great.
Sure, and I hope you will speak to council, because I'd be very surprised if they didn't agree that it's Article 97 protected land.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming and for your words. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to address the board tonight? Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to address the board tonight? Okay, seeing nobody, thank you. Seeing nobody, we are going to go to our 6:15 item, which is a proclamation for Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, which is September. And we are just a couple of days away. So if it's okay with the board, I'm going to read this proclamation into the record.
Please.
This is a proclamation from the Yarmouth Select Board for National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Whereas, with September being recognized as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, the Cape and Island Suicide Prevention Coalition invites our communities, mental health advocates, prevention organizations, survivors, and allies to join us in helping to destigmatize mental health and take proactive action towards suicide prevention. We seek to raise awareness and visibility of mental health and suicide prevention resources in our communities and help connect individuals with the appropriate support services. And whereas, according to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, which is the AFSP, suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 and 34. With more than 48,000 people dying by suicide annually in the United States. And whereas, with an average of 132 suicide deaths daily, and each one directly impacting 125 additional people, including friends, service members, families, social media connections, neighbors, we know a significant number of individuals have been impacted by suicide. And whereas Barnstable County's suicide rate is 1.5 times higher, standing at 14.4 per 100,000, versus the state of Massachusetts' suicide rate is at 9.5 per 100,000. We recognize the needs to create hope through action by changing the narrative locally. And whereas our local Cape and Islands Suicide Prevention Coalition works hard to spread the word about prevention, awareness, education, and action through training, forums, and events in our region. And whereas the town of Yarmouth, Massachusetts, publicly places its full support behind the Cape and Islands Suicide Prevention Coalition and those who work in the field of suicide prevention and research, mental health, education, and law enforcement on a daily basis. And whereas we encourage all residents to take time to understand mental health through education and recognize that we need to take care of our mental health while we take care of each other. Now therefore be it resolved that the Yarmouth Select Board do hereby proclaim the month of September 2025 as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Yarmouth, Massachusetts, signed by the board. And I think that those, for me, having read this, that was, prepared for us, reading that Barnstable County has 1.5 times higher at 14.4 was something I don't think I knew previous. And, we've had so many closings of different facilities and things due to mental health that, it's good that we bring ourselves to this and, recognize the struggles that so many of our residents deal with on a daily basis, but just know that there is help and there are people out there. So if you feel alone, please find the resources. Maybe we can get something together to put on the website with this, Bob, for some resources, how they can get in contact with the Cape and Islands Suicide Prevention Coalition. And
It's such
Tracy,
a
it's
heartbreak.
heartbreaking to think of a 10-year-old.
It's such a heartbreak. It really, all the way around,
well, I
suicide.
think in the
It's
day of
just
social
devastating.
media, I can't imagine it's getting
No.
better.
it's
I
not.
mean, what our kids are dealing with at such a young age
Yep, they're being bashed.
is just, it's a whole new world out there. So,
And it always has, a suicide has been, going back, I have acquaintances who have lost members of families at that age from suicide, so it's very real. But it's important to get the solution up in front, in front of everybody, so great, I'm glad.
I just
Great
wonder-
idea, Tracy.
I wonder what makes our county, I don't know if, Mark, you've ever had any conversations at the county level that, about why is it? Have we done any type of analysis as to why we have a higher rate?
No, I think that's a very, very good question, and I'm glad that, the board, is discussing and voting on this proclamation. I don't know, but be more than happy to inquire and see if we can get some information for the board. It certainly is a topic that gets talked about quite a bit, at a county level and with some of our regional health and human services groups that are working on a whole range of issues. So let me try to get some information and report back to the board.
I guess it brings me back to funding, and, there was many years through free cash, where and I don't know where we're at now, but we used to give grants for a lot of our, our nonprofits that helped Yarmouth residents, whether it was Children's Cove or Independence House, and
We still do that.
yeah, I don't know to what level that this is funded or has been funded, and if any, if there's any correlation to what's available based on funding that.
No, they just have to apply for funds, and the Board of Health administers those. So maybe someone can outreach them. I'll pass this information along.
I've had this conversation before with the previous Board of Health director, that there would be some value periodically in coming before the board and explaining to the board what they're doing with the funds, because they have their own process for allocating those funds, and I think the more there's a public awareness of what they're doing, how much money is available, and what they're doing, and how you apply for it, I think the more that information is out in the community, we might have other groups.
There's several.
And, yeah, that could certainly benefit from being at least considered, to address some of these problems. So my recommendation would be when we get to agenda items, put on our list of things to do to ask the Board of Health, a representative from the board or the health agent, health director, to come before us and update us on what they're doing with this program.
Good. Yep. All right. So our next agenda item, unless anybody else has anything on that, is the select board goals. We have goals that have been put in our packet. They have been reviewed. We've had them. We were part of creating them. So what we're looking for tonight is basically a vote that this is in fact what our wishes are, and this will set Bob off on his path to create a plan of action based on what we vote on tonight.
Madam Chair, I'm a little confused. I know that what we discussed and voted on starts with the 2025 priority goals, but page 1 of the packet that we received talks about some goals that I don't remember us approving.
Like,
And I could talk about that briefly. And, first I wanted to congratulate the board on their annual retreat in July to take away from the, day-to-day town operations in these meetings and just work on, setting some overall goals for the town. It's the most important thing you do, I think, each year, because it really sets the tone for all of the efforts of all of the departments. So what we did is I had worked with your facilitator, Warren Rutherford, after the goal-setting session with all of our copious notes, and put together the draft, what we saw of the goals. And we distributed those to all of the board members to see if that, was what you recalled for all the goals. And I received a memo back on a number of things that were proposed to be added to the goals. And I did not have those items as voted as goals or established, just the ones that were in my list. So what I did, and I thought maybe that if they weren't approved as goals, some of them be future agenda items. So I wrote a memo, and the first page memo, this outlines the items that were suggested in the feedback that I received, but that I did not have notes to support that they were included in the goals. So in there, I just listed them out. And there were also a couple of future agenda items that I did not have in my notes as put on that list. So I wanted to make everyone aware that there's some items that board members asked questions on that I didn't have listed.
so for purposes of this discussion, I see the memo, and the memo items are perhaps different than what we're looking at under what they call priority goals. But on the memo in the front, there's items like goal of home rule petition for Gateway Airport. I don't know what that means, and what that's related to.
That would be part of number 8, which is initiate discussions with the town of Barnstable to discuss issues related to Cape Cod Gateway Airport.
Right, but what is the home rule petition? I don't remember.
Discussed, and I'm not clear on what
Oh,
the
having a
plan was,
voting-
but I think it was to get Yarmouth as a voting member on the airport commission. Is that what the meeting with the council, meeting with Barnstable and town council, and then trying to get home rule petition for that?
Would that require a home rule petition?
No, I think what my notes indicated that the goal was to initiate discussions with the town of Barnstable.
Yes.
And,
That's what I
and
remember.
the, it was in that goal to get greater representation. And it was talked about that, down the line, you could use a home rule petition, but the part that was approved as a goal was to do the meetings with Barnstable. And I think that my notes seem to indicate that a home rule petition might be a potential future step that wasn't adopted as a goal.
It's actually it's above, meet with Barnstable Town Council.
Right.
But
It says it right there.
it does, and I'm fine with that. We did talk about initiating a discussion with town
Right.
council, but to me, that, it's a process. It's a process of having that conversation without saying our goal is to get a home rule petition. That may be something that we need to do based on the discussion, but I don't remember saying that that's one of the things that we're gonna work towards right away. I don't necessarily think that we should put it in there, because I think if we're gonna put that in our goal, it's kind of superseding our neighborly duties of having that discussion first.
So we want to reverse 2 and
I'm just-
3 on page 4?
So I'm saying I have a little problem with this first page.
Are we, on page 4, are we reversing?
No, this is just page 1 we're talking about.
Well, I know, but on page 4, in the goal package,
It's there.
it specifically says possibly through a home rule legislative petition, and then number 3 is meet with Barnstable Town
And
Council.
no, we want to definitely meet with Barnstable. If that's my recollection, because we have items, I just want to make sure I'm trying to recap it in my head.
Do we want to discuss home rule legislative petition, or should that be struck?
I don't think it should be in there. I think I think what our goal should be is to, basically talk about what we're trying to achieve, and then the specifics of it, I think, need to be
discussed
kind
Hammered
of a free flow of how.
then. For opening the door.
Yeah, I just don't think it's very neighborly to say, Here's what we're gonna do, and if not that, this is it." And we may end up there, Liz. I mean, I'm not
Well,
saying
no,
it's
I'm
off the
only-
table, but it's not my goal. My goal would be to have a great conversation with our neighbor and
not for it.
advocate
Don't-
our
yeah.
position as to why we feel like we should have a voting member, and then, take it from there.
Not advocating at all. I just had it in my notes that it was discussed.
Oh, yeah, I
And
mean,
and
it's a
I see
potential.
it here, so should we strike it?
Yeah, I personally don't want it there, but
Okay,
that's
so
just me.
page 4,
I'm
there's
one
a
person.
change.
How does everybody else feel about that?
I agree. I don't think better for us to open the door
Yeah.
and get a seat and then discuss.
Okay.
So,
Take
just so
out
that,
number 2?
just so that I understand,
just
what
discuss.
we're talking about is a little confusing. All right, the administrator gave us a memo, and then attached to the memo, identified some items that came in for feedback, dated the 22nd.
August 22nd.
Right, and then after that one-page memo with all of the list of potential future items and potential goal additions is a document that pretty much reflects what we had come up with at the meeting. So what I'm unclear on, Madam Chair, is what we're actually talking about tonight. Are we taking a vote on the document, or are we having a discussion about
I think,
this memo and what should be added or
no,
modified?
I think we should go through the 2025 priority goals and make sure it's as we, I know Bob
Okay.
pointed that out because, I think that
Right.
we want to make sure we capture everything, but at the same time, let's just go through.
fine.
Yeah, we
Page
have
one.
time tonight, so
Yeah.
we have plenty of time that we can have this
So
discussion,
is
so I
the
think it's
first
important.
question, are we comfortable with page 1?
So let's go, priority goal number 1, and just for the public's and our notice, this is not an organized number of priorities. These are priority goals, all equally important. There's not one, we're not saying because it's number one on this, that this is our number one goal. Okay, these are just in no particular
Understood.
order. So reorganize the community and economic development functions to support committees for the implementation of the comprehensive plan, to focus and unite a common vision and strategies in support of tourism and local economy. So if you just want to read that below it, the areas of focus, and if anybody has anything, if not, we'll move to number two.
I had two, because this memo, there's no reason not to point it out. This is from me, essentially. And it's not goals. It was elements that were discussed as part of these goals.
Okay.
So it's a little bit
Well, just as
misleading.
we go through,
Right.
do you mind just saying what and we can have a discussion whether or not it was part of it, or?
Indeed. So as part of the an area of focus
Mm-hmm.
underneath one, explore creation of redevelopment authority.
Okay. I do remember talking about that, and I don't know whether or not it was an area of focus or something that we wanted to further discuss. Is that a future agenda item?
For me, that's an agenda item. I think what we need to do is get our community development director hired and underway, go through a process of figuring out how we're going to strengthen the various committees and get our act together there. I think that comes out from that conversation.
Okay, so we're moving that to future agenda items.
That I would recommend be an agenda item.
Are you okay with that, Liz, that we have a
Well,
further discussion?
I'll go with it because I don't want it, but I really do think it's on a par with other elements that are now areas of focus. So I'm sorry to see it become less important than,
I'm not sure it's less important. I don't want you to think that. I feel like it deserves an agenda item where we can get information on what it means.
okay.
There could be negative impacts to something like that we haven't really had the chance to talk about, and we should.
Well, that's why it's explore, yeah. Okay, so that's going to go under agenda, future
and then-
agenda items?
And then, we can get, whenever we have that discussion, we can, well, I'm not sure actually, that's an interesting thing, because I'm not sure how the town doesn't typically, that's usually an outside entity.
Well, it was sort of an extension of community development and the economic director position.
Right.
So that's why I thought that's where it belonged.
Well, I think it should be a discussion.
Okay.
And then we can maybe have them go from there.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to have a discussion about creating a capacity to implement specific initiatives that are part of our overall economic development plan. Now, in some communities, these entities are redevelopment authorities. And in other areas, communities will try to facilitate the creation of CDCs to target a particular area or initiative. So from my perspective, I think it's a great agenda item, but I wouldn't limit it to just redevelopment authority. I would expand the conversation.
It could be CEDC.
Yeah, because there may be some value in expanding the role and the jurisdiction of our own Community and Economic Development Committee to provide greater clarity for that group and its work.
Exactly.
And maybe there may be some need to sort of expand their powers, or
They might also, a potential redevelopment authority might play a role in helping our smaller businesses that are suffering right now with the sewering too.
right. So I think these are things that are certainly worth discussing and thinking through in a very strategic way, so that we make sure that we're creating.
And then the other thing that I had that I had suggested that I thought we were still talking about as part of the reorganization of our economic development was also the thought that we have a professional firm look at rebranding Yarmouth
We
for
talked-
marketing efforts as a commercial.
Yeah, we did talk about that too, and I think that the conversation it was one of those things that we don't have any statistical data, and the process of which that came, I personally would like, and I know this is gonna be a lot on our new economic development director, but these are things that, we should have asked these questions in the interview now that I'm thinking about it, because they would have been great to see the thoughts on it. But once we get somebody, yeah, I mean, once we get somebody on board, I think these are great conversations there that we should have with them.
So should that be an area of focus? Because obviously those areas of focus are after we do have somebody in the position. So should the idea of exploring with this new person, the rebranding, be on this list as number 7?
Or do we make it a future agenda item, say 6 or 7 or 8 months out after this person's had a chance to have their
That's fine.
That's what I
feet
was
on the
thinking.
ground?
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't, from my point of view, I'm not comfortable with jumping to the conclusion that somehow our rebranding needs to be completely changed. I know there are some.
No, that's
yeah.
not what it's intended to do. It's a,
Okay,
again,
but
it's
that's the way
exploration.
that's the way it reads. It says work with a professional firm for rebranding of Yarmouth marketing efforts. It's a pretty direct.
That's my language that is misleading you, forgive me.
Okay.
You just explore.
Yeah.
I think that an upcoming agenda item would be more like, have, a discussion on the need. Like, I don't know, I guess, and I said this before when we were talking about the CEDC. I've been here, we've spent thousands of dollars several times to do it, and I'm just not convinced that it's a good use of our money until somebody can
Convince you.
convince me otherwise at this point, and I'm not there.
That's
no,
fine.
I'm in total agreement. I think.
I know Mike would be very happy right now to hear you say that, because he
I love Yarmouth Within Reach.
hated Yarmouth Within Reach from the minute they took it.
I don't get it.
I know.
It doesn't do much for me.
So,
I also see it
Geographically,
that I
also
don't
it
want to
used to be more
pigeonhole the,
affordable.
the new incoming director. I want to give this
used to.
person an opportunity to be in place to do their own analysis and to
Come
come
to us
back to
with
us
what
with
they
their
think.
recommendations of what they think we should be
Yeah.
doing at this particular point. I mean, I don't think we should be just giving them marching orders and leaving it as, this is it, this is what you're doing. I don't want to stymie their thought process.
So under item number 2, which is,
well, first, are we done? Everybody okay with the way number 1 is? All right, so we're going to approve.
Well, I do have one
Yes.
change I'd like to recommend. We refer under areas of focus, item 2, we've been generally calling it the Route 28 Economic Corridor Analysis, but I think we should be accurate. The official titles of the studies that we have been performing with the consultants is the Route 28 Mixed Use Regulatory Review, that's one study, and the feasibility study. And that was the
Certainly
Union
have
and
correct
BSC.
names.
So the corridor analysis came in the form of those 2 studies that we funded with that state grant, and
mixed use, what was it?
so
Regulatory
it's,
review.
it's the Route 28 Mixed Use Regulatory Review that studied the physical thing and the feasibility studies.
Okay.
So
What feasibility are they?
they were doing the feasibility incorporated interviews that were done with business leaders throughout the community, developing, benchmarking and different suggestions and ideas for stimulating economic activity in the corridor. And that was the BSC group spearheaded that. And then the Union Company did the analysis of the physical construction of the zoning and what they did the 1, 2, 3 acre sites that you saw. We talked about that. And those formed the basis for the economic vision that's in the comprehensive plan. So it just links it up officially with the studies that we have.
Okay, so, and when we talk about moving these to future agenda items, you're making notes, Bob,
Yes.
we're going to have
I
to
am
move
too.
it? Okay. Well, I know you are. Okay,
Under number 2, which is the water quality,
well, let me just,
No,
let me just talk, let me read it into the,
Okay,
so
sorry.
people at home know, and then we can. So goal number 2 is continue to maintain a broad vision for water quality protection in our town, including ponds, lakes, streams, estuaries, and embayments, which focuses on public water supply protection and wastewater treatment capacity, moving forward with the development of a public wastewater treatment facility. There's some typos in there.
so get rid of and.
It should say like moving forward, and it should say
Get rid of the "and."
Yeah, which focuses, not and which focuses. Okay, so generally, that was my recollection, the areas of focus. If you guys want to just read them and see if you have any comments.
I had a
Sounds like a good idea.
It does.
What is item C under there supposed to mean? Policy focused for select board. What does that mean?
That the select board is focused at a policy level, not directing the day-to-day operations of the project.
Oh. Maybe reverse those two words. Focus on policy for select board or something. Well, we'll know what it means.
I asked the same question, Liz. I had asked him when we had our discussion about this, what that meant. So
Right.
maybe there is a way to make that a little clearer.
Focus on
Focus on
policy
policy.
for select board
Yeah.
makes it pretty clear, I
For
think.
select board to focus on policy issues. Select board
There
to
you go.
focus on policy issues, Bob?
Okay, got it.
Some capitals too that don't quite make sense in B. Maintain firm budget control, capital, capital, capital.
All right, everybody's comfortable with number 2?
I wanted to add, under number two, let's see, two,
Okay,
which is the PFAS
okay.
paragraph. We did at one point, we were talking about getting some shellfish testing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought maybe we could add that there.
I think we already asked that of the consultant, and they're supposed to be working on that.
I don't know that we did or that it is.
Yeah, you did, it is.
We did. It was part of the discussion, so.
Do we continue to test? In other words, if we're testing things, is that something that we should be testing as regularly as well? If you don't think it needs to be added, that's fine. It just seemed like that was part of our testing now.
I think what we were doing, if I remember correctly, is we had the consultant doing that, and from what the consultant comes back with us is how we were then going to develop our future policies.
That's fine.
Understood.
But I do want to point out that there is,
Any test results to know we need to keep testing it.
that's correct, because the plume is moving, and so it would be something that even if it's
I think it makes sense that we will continue. I think we're going to
Doesn't
be
need to
forced
be.
to do more testing anyway, but,
That's fine, whatever
two,
everybody
two.
wants. All right.
all right, number 3, revise communication plan across the board for increased civic engagement that addresses town cable vision, television, production capabilities, all social media, and other means for reaching out to local residents regarding important topics of public discussion. The only thing I have is, it says local residents. I think the public at large, only because there's a lot of
Thank you.
things that are going on that our visitors may be interested in. I don't know if we want to limit it to just local residents as our goal, but that's up to the,
No, I think that's appropriate.
So want to see reaching out to the public?
I think,
Out to the
I think
public
the
and leave
public,
it at
yeah.
that.
I mean, obviously, our residents have more information they need with town meeting and so on and so forth, but there's a lot of things that we want to make sure we focus on.
I'd like to see what the visitors have to say as well. I mean, they're a big portion of
I
our
think that
economy.
wants to be a lowercase b on the board. First sentence.
Across the board? Okay, in the areas of focus everybody's okay with, so we will move to number 4.
ahead.
Oh,
Nice
I was trying.
That never happened.
All right,
At one
communications
point, we
between,
talked about improved communication between board members and town administrator. I find I'm not getting much information until I come to a board meeting. And sometimes I feel confused as to what's happened in the 2 weeks we've been apart. So I don't know if there's a solution for that.
Just nightly check-ins.
oh no, we want to keep Bob. We love Bob.
I don't know.
No, I understand you, this has always been, for me, something I think, especially when we rate Bob, this is always probably one of the things I'm the hardest on his annual review, because I feel often caught off guard.
Yeah.
You know, right now, he's got a lot on his plate, and, you know, I'm sure things will improve. One of the things that I have seen get better are like residents email with an issue,
Yeah.
and then it goes into a black hole, but we don't, so now I feel like we're at least copied on the fact that we know somebody's working on it, that kind of thing. But that's all, to me, that's, you know, communications has always been a goal, but at the same time, you know, again, we're here to set policy, not manage every little thing of the town.
That's a good
So,
point, yeah.
there's a balance. We don't need to know everything, but we do need to know what we need to know. So if there are issues that I think are important enough, Bob, you know, has reached out. I don't know how everybody else feels about it being a goal. I think it's as his job, he is that's part of his evaluation.
That's fine for me.
So
And I've always felt comfortable that I feel that there's any time that I have any questions, that Bob has always been readily available to answer those questions for me. And a lot of times it's something that's really a question for me, not necessarily a question for the entire board. I think as long as the communication stays open the way Bob has had it, I think it works out well.
That's fine.
and I think you'll settle in. I think you're, and I don't mean this in a negative way, you're very excited. You want to, like, you know, but a lot of it, I think after time, you kind of, I think, because at first I was that way, right? I wanted to, like,
Well,
but
I do. There, for instance, it's such silly things, but this silly boat ride that they want us to take, Friends of Bass River, and it was like 20 people were kind of trying to figure out who's supposed to collect the dates and find out when we can go, and it's happening, so it's off.
Yeah, and
was
you know,
Friends of
that's
Bass
not true at
River's
all. I mean, we had, twice I had to send out from Rick Bishop, all he was looking for you to do is say, can you come, can you not come? And, you know, you wouldn't respond, and I mean, and then I sent it out a second time. You know, it's frustrating. And a lot of the things that, you know, you ask about is, you know, I can't keep up with the, you know, you handling the day-to-day aspects of the town. I mean, that's kind of what, it was sort of interesting. We were talking about what is the select board
yeah.
maintaining a policy
Right,
focus.
yeah.
Well, that's what it means. It's that not trying to do the day-to-day operations and then have me update you daily on the day-to-day operations. It's to focus on the big picture. So if we need, you know, to work on defining what our roles are, you know, maybe that's the discussion. But as far as me not keeping you up to date on the day-to-day operations, I mean, my schedule, it's just, I would never get anything done. And the types of expectations you have is that I'm going to achieve carrying out these things, but I can't do it and give you a day-to-day update on all the day-to-day
It's hard,
operations.
Liz, because the public looks at us.
So it's frustrating on both ends.
They come to us for everything, and they think that and we don't know, right? And they're like, well, what are you doing, right? But we don't know. We're not here to.
Well, I can give you a good example. So, when this fire thing happened, the fire concern on Mayfair, corner of Mayfair and Setauket, and we talked about it at the end of the last meeting, and I sent out an email to let you all know that it had been resolved, and resolved well, because it was an open-ended discussion that we had, and that's probably part of what makes me feel like our communication is lacking. And it's not Bob, it's I wanted us to know we don't need to have any more discussions about it because it was resolved, instead of having to create policy or legislation. Because remember when we talked about that at the end of our last meeting? Do we have to have a legislative action on the books to prevent this in the future? And I thought, well, let me close that off, say, no, it was taken care of, end of discussion. So that's kind of what I would love to see more of. And of course we can't discuss anything, but it's just information, so that you're not kind of left hanging with, wonder what happened with that. type
See,
thing.
I guess I just have faith. When I give a constituent issue to Bob, I just have faith it's taken care of unless I hear otherwise, so, I don't know. And maybe that comes with years of experience, but, okay, all right.
But then we did also talk about improved preparation for town meeting.
Yep, that's always been
We
a
can always
goal, too.
tweak that,
Yep.
although I have to say that I think that it's come a long way from what it used to be.
You want to add that or not?
Well, I mean, that's within our control, right? So when we get to town meeting, or if we want more meetings, we can schedule a public meeting, we can do whatever. It's, I mean, well, in concert with the moderator, the meeting's actually the moderator's choice, but in terms of what we've done before, we've never specifically outlined it, but we've had conversations on how to outreach. You know, they've done better with videos, and we had the pre-meeting a couple of times, so I think that that's just a discussion we have. I mean,
Okay.
it's always a goal to have better communication. I think that that's the whole point of number,
4.
right,
Oh,
4.
sorry, 3.
Yep.
What
Alright.
Bob said a minute ago, though, gave me a flashback to Bill Hinchey and a conversation that he once had with Vita Morris, where Vita Morris was pressuring him to have office hours during which she would visit. And he said, if I had those, I would never get anything done.
There you go.
It's a lot.
So true.
All right, number 4, finalize the study and begin implementation of the reuse and development of the Mattakey School property, which is well on its way. We're down that road. Everybody want to look at the areas of focus, make sure we're good?
Fine
Okay,
with it.
number 4 is good. Number 5, woo!
Getting there, Tracy, we're
No, just
getting there.
Promote staff retention efforts in our town. We had conversation about that. Anybody have anything to discuss on that? Nope, we need to do it.
That's good.
And, all right, number 6, develop additional recreation facilities and sites.
In some ways, that depends on what we do with the Mattakey's property, I suppose.
Yep, coordinate stakeholders, yeah. Okay,
I think there's some language on number 2, it's just bad. Again, bad.
use capital improvement
Develop
program
a
to
plan,
develop a
maybe
plan
the word 2 is
to
missing.
make strategic improvements, yep.
And I
Expand
brought
park.
up the
Parks,
ways to water and the walking path maps. But again, that's just getting specific, so
Right.
there's no need to go there, I guess.
well, it's the whole goal is the additional facilities and sites, so.
Yeah, I think while we're talking about this, Madam Chair, I think we need to sort of keep in the back of our minds that we're going to have to revisit the drive-in site specifically, because pretty soon it's going to be open to the public, and we want to make sure that we've got a sort of a game plan in terms of use and the management of that facility, and
So we had our walkthrough, we just talked about that. They were coming up with the application, I believe, for use.
yeah, so at some point, this is all going to have,
Future agenda item?
it's a future agenda item, yeah, and I think we need to be dealing with
Got
it.
that?
Which is the one?
Drive-in site, specifically the
Management.
public use of that property, that we should have a discussion about that once it gets opened. Okay, number 7, analyze regional and combined public safety dispatching, which we have done, and the chiefs are on their way with that. I think we just asked about a update, or maybe I asked Bob about getting an update on that soon, but we weren't ready yet.
Yeah, because I have right here, educate this Board of Select person as to any response plans and educate our zero responders, which is a new term that's being used in disaster settings.
I've got to ask, what is a zero
It's the
responder?
people who are there, like Dorcas,
Neighbors.
before a first responder.
Neighbors.
Yeah.
I see that coming through when the chiefs come to update us on what's going on.
And I don't know, have you toured that facility, Liz? Have you taken?
Have you gone up to
No, but I mean,
Duxbury?
I'm more interested in, if something were to happen here in Yarmouth.
You talk about our emergency, you want to know our emergency response team?
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to know what specifically I do as a select person to contribute or get out of the way.
Yeah, I would say get out of the way, but, but that's just me.
People are going to be calling me to say, what do I do? What do I do?
Oh, you'll
And I
get
wouldn't
phone
mind
calls
knowing
at 1
what to-
a.m. why your,
I think
why
the
my
important thing
driveway
is
not.
that we need to not muck up the works and allow the people that have been trained to
So
do it
maybe
to
we
take
say,
care of it.
hang tight, or go check on your neighbor. Do we say,
Well-
go check on your neighbor?
I think the town has put out a lot of great correspondence in the past when things come through. I've had the ability to sit through the Emergency Operations Center, and I think maybe when our first storm, so to speak, comes, and you have the ability to watch that and see the information.
Where would I watch it? What do you
So they
mean?
do that upstairs at the police department, and
So would I go there?
you could.
Okay.
I think you would work that out with the chief or whatever, but I think you'd have a lot of more confidence and
Exactly.
comfort in having watched that process.
And then I could also spread that. So I feel like that's my role as a Board of Select person, is to be able to give comfort and to help educate others as to what our plan is.
I
we
would,
do.
I would just jump in, again, partly from my past role as director at Heatherwood and being part of the emergency response, that you're better to keep the number of people that are handling all of that communication and everything else to those that have been fully trained and have had all of the, you'd be amazed at all the game plan scenarios that go into play. And I think it would be more important in our role, and certainly what I would do as a select board member, is to refer them back to our emergency management people. And not get involved at all in it.
No, and that's not what I'm saying, Dorcas. I want
But
to,
you were saying to talk to their, to your zero responders and so forth. I think, again,
is that something, it was something that I went to a conference on, and it's a new thought in safety.
Right.
Perhaps when the chief and the fire chief come and they're updating us, and I ask them, have you heard about zero responders and what's your take? They might have an answer. Yeah, we don't want that. Or they might say, that's great.
yeah.
And then I would know that it is something that they also approve of. If you, in a snowstorm, do you check on your neighbor?
Yeah.
Or do you sit tight? I just want I want to be.
It seems like neighborly, you check.
I mean, that to me is a little bit of common sense. I mean, as somebody that has a 96-year-old that lives across the street and an 87-year-old that lives on the other side, that's what I do. I check on them.
Understood, but you're not, I'm not getting through. Skip
Uh,
it.
No,
Never mind, sorry.
It's a good
I
Slowing
just,
things
the
down
only
again.
the only thing I'm trying to say is just that
I'm not
we really-
going to be
we
jumping
really
in
should
with
keep-
a safety vest and an axe.
right,
believe me.
we should continue to just refer everyone back to the people that know what they're
Right.
doing, and
Right.
keep the numbers as small as possible at that decision-making
Right.
level.
Especially for issuing axes.
Absolutely, or the vest. Don't forget the vest.
I already have my own hard hat, so I'm ready to go.
Right. Okay.
No.
I understand what you're saying.
Thank you, Tracy.
Information is good,
Yes,
so
yes.
we'll try to find a way that we can.
And it might
get that
calm me
conveyed.
down, which would make everybody happy.
I think people are always, my years on the planning board helped me realize that the fear of the unknown, things that you can't see, is a difficult thing to explain to people. So sometimes, I'm a visual person, I like to see it. So when I say that you should watch it, I don't mean intervene, but to just be in there and see the pieces that go into it, I think is helpful.
And I've done it at the county level, so I agree.
it's
that
probably
And
similar.
I would like to have that exposure at some point.
All right, initiate discussion in town of Barnstable. We've already kind of covered number 8, so
Yep.
we can go on. And then the future agenda items. So we do have a lot of agenda items to discuss in the future, but that's okay. That's good. Anybody else have any notes or thoughts for Bob on the goals?
I would move that we approve the goals as presented today with the addendums that we have made.
And the typos fixed.
Second.
Well, that's part of the addendum, so.
Any discussion on the motion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. That was a good exercise. It's good for the public to also know what our goals are, so it's good to go through them. Next, we're going to have a discussion and a vote on the Community Development Director. and whether or not we want to have a vote tonight. I'm not sure how the board would like to proceed, if they have discussion they would like to
Well,
have.
actually, Madam Chair, I would like to, if I could, start by saying that I was very impressed with the candidates, and my thanks to Sarah and to Bob for what you've put together for us to review. And I thought that they were excellent candidates, but for me personally, one kind of rose to the top. And I think that with her background, her experience in town government as well, I really would feel very comfortable in proposing Megan Eldridge for the position.
Is that a motion?
And I would make that motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion
Let's
for,
have,
for discussion.
let's have a discussion. Does anybody have a discussion on the motion or anything that they would like to?
I confess that I really liked different candidates, and what I don't feel I'm in a place to weigh is how much the municipal experience counts. Obviously heavily, because somebody like Megan would be an easy hire, and how much like a different background but that might be valuable should count. And I find myself kind of reluctant to let go of any of the candidates. But I do see that if it's municipal background that we're looking for, especially if we're going to have a new person, as ATA, and we're going to have a whole lot of things launching at once, then I agree that Megan would be the way to go. I confess, with some of our priorities that we were just saying, it seems to me that somebody with national park experience would almost sound tempting. But I realize that this may not be a year in which we can give somebody a long-running board.
Well, and I was wondering if there may be a possibility of offering a consulting position, for instance, to be able to access some of that
Funny
experience,
that you say that, because
which is my thought process.
yeah, it's weird because in my position here, I've sat through many of these, mostly either town administrator, police chief, fire chief. All of them come from a very similar background with different strengths, and really it's personal preference in what I felt that the town needs at the time. In this particular case, we had such diverse backgrounds, all of which there were pieces that the town needs now. So that's why at the end of the interviews, I said, wow, that's hard, because I'd love to have them all. And when you talk about the parks director, I felt she was a taskmaster. I felt she was a special projects type of person that we certainly would love to have, but not sure, how, when you talk about the municipal experience, obviously Megan was the one with that. All of them had great qualifications, and it's really about what you feel we need right now. And to me, there were pieces of all of them that we need. So I'm comfortable with, if the board has a strong feeling about a particular candidate, I don't think we could go wrong with any of them. To the extent that we could utilize the others at some point, in some way, that would be great.
Well, that's what for me personally, in my thought process, it was because we really are limited to one person that we can ultimately decide upon. And part of what was really a leading factor for me, of course, was Megan's municipal experience, but also I was rather impressed with her ideas on team motivation, and the fact that, to me, I see this position in many ways as being, which is why I asked the question, we have some singularly very qualified people that are already in play, and who can bring those people together and allow them to rise even further. And I felt that, like you actually, that Ellen, who was our national parks experience, was more on individual goal setting and projects. And I felt that Megan was a little better qualified at looking at the big picture and how that would all fit in. And also, I was impressed at one point, she made a comment that is exactly something that Bob has talked about on how to support the staff. And that, I feel, is very important to Bob, is how the staff is incorporated into anything we do. And I felt that she would be a better mix, a better fit with Bob to be in that position. So again, and then looking at Ellen, our national park, as more, and I don't think like hitting the ground that we would be hiring her as a consultant, but I think reaching out to her after Megan has had an opportunity to be in the job for, 6 or 7 months and start to feel it out, that particularly, for instance, when we get to the whole plan for Route 28 and so forth, I think that Ellen would be very helpful to come back and discuss, but in a consulting position.
There's a thing about Megan's resume that didn't get any play in the interviews, but I mean, the fact that she's worked in health backgrounds, and it occurred to me that given we're getting hospital creep, West Yarmouth and up Route 28, I wonder if some of our thinking about year-round development and recasting our idea of Yarmouth couldn't involve a health environmental emphasis, and that would be something Megan would be really set to do.
Also, her discussion on the cultural center, and what that came at the last minute, that she basically was bringing that up, and I was kind of intrigued, but it was already at the end when she was bringing up about being involved in that, because I think that's something that I've kind of heard as a theme going on, when we look at Yarmouth, is looking at our culture and looking at our history. So having that experience, I think, would be very helpful.
Well, I do want to say that I think that Spiro has, he's thought long and hard about where Yarmouth should be going in the big picture future, and I'm excited by what he sees and what he talks about. A lot of what he talks about makes a lot of sense to me, but I have to say I was swept away by Ellen. I thought that she was inspiring, and she had so many out-of-the-box ideas that when we'd asked her, for instance, what you might do to Route 28, she had a great list of businesses that I hadn't even thought about that could be dropped in. I think that was your question. What could you drop in there? And I liked the way she responded to the chamber and the economic development piece. I liked so much of what she said. I thought she spoke so well, and that she mentioned she's a team builder. I think they all had that capacity, that they would be able to lead a team very well. They had pretty much answered those questions about what would you do in the first 30 days, 60 days, pretty much had the same kind of approach. So I thought Ellen was a little bit more matured and would be a better fit with somebody like Kathy Williams, who is also so advanced in what she's doing. And I thought Ellen also was more specifically in the planning world, in the development world, rather than in health or.
And I don't disagree with that point.
Okay.
But we have a planner. So,
Right. So maybe I'm using the wrong terminology.
So no, I think you're right. That's what I said in the outset. There's nothing negative about any of these people.
Right.
We would win no matter which direction we went in. But I said originally, I feel like she is a taskmaster, a planner, but we need somebody who can manage a group, a team of very qualified multiple, I mean, we've got conservation, you've got so many things under this umbrella.
Right, and that's what I was trying to say, saying it poorly. She would be a good manager of those excellent staff people. So that's what I was trying to say.
Tracy, I have a question, and I remember when we were talking about the appointment of the assistant town administrator, that there was a plan to get some planning background in that slot. Do we feel we've achieved that in the assistant town administrator's hire? I'm just trying to figure how much planning we have on board already.
Yeah, I think I've got all the confidence in the world on the assistant town administrator, the experience that she has in these governments. She's not a town planner, but I think she'll be a very effective administrator. And so,
I think one of the other nice pieces that I think that we talk about a lot too is growing our bench, right? I mean, to have somebody like Megan, you know, obviously we have an assistant town administrator, but she's highly qualified to be able to step up and grow as in our community. So, you know, again, I would hope that the board would be able to come to some unanimous type of decision. I know that we all have, again, I typically leave those interviews with a very strong gut feeling. And, you know, I just felt like they were just so different. They had different skills that I'm not willing to dig my
hard to
feet in
compare.
against what the committee or the board feels collectively. I know you have a strong opinion.
We can leave it at that.
No, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I typically do too. That's what I just said. So, you know, it would be nice to have somebody start with support of the board. And, but if we have a motion on the table, I don't.
Oh, can I ask one more question?
Yes.
And I don't know whether this would be of Sarah or of Bob. Do we have any difference in when different candidates could begin?
No,
Start dates, would they all have about the same?
I think they're all readily, available. One of the good things is that all of these candidates are from Cape Cod, which is, for a highly professional position like this one,
I'm from our town.
you know, that's a godsend. So they're all available.
Right. And that's something I
Thank you.
think
That helps,
weighed a
too.
lot with me with Spiro. I mean, having been a resident, I've known him for years, we all know him. I think that that's a great, it's a great thing, and I'm happy he put his name in the mix. I just think that this department level, with all the expertise that's under, is just maybe, you know, I just feel like Megan probably has that edge, so to speak, but I think he would be great at other things. And I just love the fact that we had two candidates that are vested here in our community. So, you know, they know the town, they're not gonna, you know, either one of them could hit the ground running. But with that, unless anybody else has anything to say, I guess take a
You have a motion on the floor.
motion. All those in favor of the motion? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Okay, aye.
All right. Thank you. So it passes unanimously.
Congratulations to Megan.
It wasn't easy, but
No,
it's,
that's not hard.
Thank you again
yeah, for all three of the candidates,
for
honestly.
wonderful candidates.
It made they were good. We made it difficult for us, so that's a good
Excellent
problem
job,
to have.
Sarah. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And Bob, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to board and committee items. And will you thank them all on our behalf?
Absolutely.
That would be great.
There's a great group of finalists.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, well, board and committee actions are a little bit light this week. We have now the official resignation of Jim Saban. We got that as news last week from the Planning Board, the Land Disposition Committee, Design Review Committee, Drive-In Utilization Committee. And I move that we accept his resignation with great thanks for years of service.
He'll be back. I hope he'll be back. I
Absolutely.
think he's listening right now.
Reluctantly
We have a
accept.
Jim on Zoom, so
Okay.
maybe.
I move
Thank you,
that,
Jim. Hope you're feeling better.
okay, that we accept it. Is there a second for
Second.
that?
Just a second.
Okay. Votes?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
With deep regret that we have to, and
Okay.
and also gratitude to Jim for the tremendous amount of his time and love and effort
And
that
to
he's
Tammy
put
for sharing
into,
him.
and to Tammy for
But she's
sharing
probably
him.
grateful to share him.
And then our one appointment is to appoint Peter Malpass from Community and Economic Development as that committee's representative to the Design Review Committee. And that's an appointment for 1 year to expire at the end of July 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
All those
Discussion?
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay,
That's record fast for appointments.
thank you. So there's some minutes here. I don't know if the minutes have been amended. Let me just read the ones that are here in my packet, because I had asked for an amendment. I just need to make sure, when it came to the vote on the contract, yes, it says abstained. Originally, it said I had made the motion, voted on it, and I did not.
Ooh.
I abstained from those contract votes.
Move that we approve the minutes for October 1st, 2024,
As amended.
as amended.
All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, upcoming agenda review, well, we just
Kind of did that.
added a ton of things to Bob, but what, we were trying to get a few more things off our plate. We had some availability tonight, and we tried to see what we could move up, what was ready. And in the midst of that, we got in touch with Julian Sear, and so Julian will be at our next meeting.
To talk about the transfer fee?
Yep.
Good, because I was taxed with that, so I'll take that off of my
Yep.
to-do list.
He was not available tonight, but he was available
Okay.
on September 9th for discussion.
I was amazed how fast we got through the community and economic development part. I was thinking that was going to take a lot more than it did.
Yeah. Well,
Did we,
All right.
I just wanted to mention, we talked about having a fee review, so,
I thought we said in December every year we were gonna do that.
so should we add it to our agenda then?
At some point in December, we'll have to look at all of them. I think we had a discussion about that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it could be plugged in there, I'm not sure where, but there was something we needed to plug in last week, too, that we talked about.
And I have made reservations to go away based on this calendar, so I hope this is okay.
We always hope.
Yeah.
But perhaps when the police and fire are in for their promotions on the 23rd, Bob, I don't know what else we have on the 23rd, but perhaps we can get an update on the regional dispatch then, and perhaps talk a little bit about our
Great.
emergency management response.
That'd be great.
Oh, wait a minute. No, they're on the October 7th. They're on October 7th. It just seems that they have to come back 2 times, but never mind. I
Oh.
see that they're already on there. One of those times we'll get the update, though.
So we have the update scheduled for October 7. We
Okay.
could put emergency planning on there.
Yeah, just, maybe just like kind of a public information on kind of what happens.
Yeah, like there's, I'm sorry, what's it called that you sign up for where you?
Code Red.
Yeah. Code Red?
Code Red.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, I didn't know about that.
Oh, yeah, you don't get you didn't get Frank's poems all those years?
No.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I guess not.
It's unfortunate.
I loved his accent. Yarmouth, half the time, in Frank's accent, and the phone messages would come out as llama. It made Yarmouth sound so exotic and interesting that we had llamas running around.
Oh, boy, yes. All right. Is there any conversation on the upcoming agenda review? We're good with that? Oh,
Did we want, well, I think Bob has it, the Board of Health update on the list of,
it's coming on the 23rd.
that would be grant dispensation?
What? grant?
talked earlier today about the Board of Health telling us what the monies that they dispense.
Oh,
where they
no,
would be
I
going.
thought you were talking about the plastics.
Yeah, I know. No, I was talking about the,
The plastics are going to
Grant.
be on the 23rd, right?
Right.
So,
add that.
Wait a sec. Plastic reduction is September 9.
Oh, I was gonna say.
when is it?
September 9.
Is it on there? It's not on there, okay.
And that's an update from the,
Oh, okay.
Don't, and don't we have to approve the regulation?
No.
No? Okay.
All right, okay.
Oh.
Moving on to individual items. Does anybody
It
have,
says
Liz,
discussion vote, so we do have to vote, okay.
for what?
On the plastics reduction regulation.
We don't vote on the regulations.
Those-
Those
those are
would not
Board of
be
Health.
ours.
I know it says that,
that
but
should be
it's just a
scratched
discussion.
out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Town meeting votes on it.
Right.
No.
Well, I
The
thought
Board
we
of
would
Health.
read it in the.
Board,
Board
the
of Health.
regulations
Oh,
will
the
be Board of
regulations,
Health
Board of Health,
regulations,
But
right.
ultimately, it will go back to the,
But it will go to town meeting.
yes,
Bylaw change will have to go back to town meeting.
exactly.
correct, and that's a recommendation of the select board, so you're kind of in charge of the whole thing. But
Are we gonna make a recommendation on the 9th?
No, but we will before the warrant's closed, right?
right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
So this is just an update from the task force, because they're moving now into their public review of the documents through the Board of Health. So they they were anxious to get in and to update the select board as soon as possible.
excellent. Okay, individual items. Liz?
Nothing.
Woo!
All right, I'll think of something.
That's all right.
Having a quiet week here.
Joyce? Dorcas, anything? Mark?
I'll take a pass.
All right, this is great. All right, consent agenda. And the consent agenda,
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
any discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and town administrator updates. Bob, we're not even gonna rush you tonight.
Okay, good. I have a couple of really nice things I think you'll appreciate. First, I want to read this news release from the Government Finance Officers Association out of Chicago, Illinois, and it says here, the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, the GFOA, has awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the town of Yarmouth for its annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2024. This report has been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, which include demonstrating constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and user groups to read the report.
All right.
This certificate of achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by a government and its management. And this is dated 8/22/25.
Yeah.
I'll pass this along for you to look at. The key staff has
Well
been
done.
And that's the nation's highest honor for financial reporting, and we did the whole thing to try to increase the transparency with the local residents and provide information people cared about. And Jennifer Mullen, our finance director, spearheaded that effort, and so my congratulations to everyone.
Hopefully that will translate to a better bond rating.
Hopefully. And I wanted to give you a quick update. I promised I would. I know there was some skepticism on, all the work we were doing on the PFAS litigation issue, but we've reached, I promised when we reached the $1 million mark, I'd be in here. And so far, the town, in just the initial disbursements, has received $1,069,808 for the PFAS litigation. So we are over $1 million, and we worked very hard on that, Lori Rosala as well, and the whole legal team that worked on it, and we're trying to figure out what the total amount is going to be. There's still a couple of settlements dribbling in, so we don't have the final amount, but as soon as I know the final amount, but we've already got $1 million, so
Well done.
we made it. And another item that is of particular importance that is also reflected in the Select Board's goals that I want to give you an update. We've had a significant sort of achievement in working with the, at least starting to work with the Cape Cod Gateway Airport, and Ron Price, our airport consultant. He's online. Well, that is fabulous. He's checking in on us. Ron has been on fire, and we have a new director, former air traffic controller at the, I think it's Mike Nelson. He's at the airport, and we've conducted some discussions. The airport consultant has met with him directly. I've also had some direct contact and discussions with him, and what we've received is that they have agreed to move forward with our standard instrument departure system development. That is, the primary goal is to reduce the noise of the airport for the local residents, and this is what we've been working on. It was recommended when we did the airport master plan by our consultant that they could do a voluntary flight path adjustments that would take the traffic away from the homes, and that was when we worked with the community. The number one item that folks were interested in is adjusting those flight paths so that we can remove the planes from being right over the homes. So the airport has agreed to having some sessions that involve the FAA, our consultant, the airport, and that they're going to work to develop these standard instrument departure items. And once we have that standard instrument departure system mapped out, then the airport can begin to do the tests with the actual flights and to make sure that it has a measurable impact. And so I really want to thank the airport for finally agreeing to work with us on this, and also our airport consultant, who is a highly skilled individual, and he has the ability to put this program in place for us. And I've also sponsored an article that you'll see. We need some additional consulting funds for the airport project in order for us to begin to make sure that we've got the horsepower to bring the results, to the table and make it happen. But since we've been working on these airport issues, and it's been close to 5 years now, I think this is our single largest victory that we have, is them agreeing to work with us to develop this system and implement it. So my thanks to Ron, and I know he's listening. And so that's moving forward.
Can I just add, too, I think Chris Greeley has been quite
Chris has been great
on it.
representing these issues on the board at the airport.
Mission, yes, very.
And she's also
Strong
met directly
voice.
with the director as well. So we're very happy with that progress. And those are my updates for tonight.
Madam Chair, if I could ask a question. Bob, we're having a library meeting on Thursday, and I'm wondering if you have an update for us on the legal. We've been asking for update as to the legal of Simpkins, the MacArthur School. Do we have anything that we can report to them about? 'Cause we've
And
been-
obviously, we heard an impassioned plea that claims that property is under Article 97 protection. And what I can say is that we've tasked town council with doing the complete research on those properties in the history to make all of those determinations. That it's a two-step process that requires, the first thing that has been completed is they've assembled all of the deeds and researched all of the deeds for the properties. And they've indicated that the Article 97 protections are not included in the deeds. So the deed research indicates that the property is not under Article 97. However, there is a full title search that is required to go through every action that's been taken since, and some of these properties go back to 1935, and that's ongoing. They say that process takes a few months to complete, and if it has been designated as a playground legally, that's the process. We'll uncover that. So they're in the midst of the legal research. The deeds are clean, but you can take action to designate properties as open space, and sometimes, you know, it has the same impact as a deed would. That I know that so there could be an issue there, but we are, you know, town council is going to painstakingly go through, and it takes a lot of work to go back 100 years on it. So,
Any idea when, Bob? You know, where we're on that time limit with the library that we have to come back in December to render a decision. Well, any idea of when this will happen for us?
I think it's
legal?
probably when they indicate that it's going to take, you know, 4 or so months, that I would say that we'll have their title research completed, right, probably around December.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could just add, I mean, the information is also relevant for the, you know, the article that was passed at town meeting regarding the common property, the town common. That, in fact, the request to do the legal research was originated with that project, so there's some history to it. You know, I recognize the comments that were made this evening, and I appreciate the fact that even, you know, citizens and residents of the area, you know, are interested in the outcome of the legal work. But I think in many respects it's going to drive how we approach the common, because I think, from my point of view, I think the goal is to make sure that the public access and the public uses that have been historic in that site can be protected and sustained. And even though there was some area designated as a memorial playground, I've approached this with the understanding that most of the playground that was designated is gone, but there should be something done in the future in order to sort of reflect the spirit of, and to some degree fulfill that requirement, whether it's legal or not. I just think that if you're going to have a memorial playground, you should have a playground. 'Cause there was one there. Yeah, my kids used to play there all the time. I used to take them there almost every day. So I'm very familiar with the playground. I have had a long history with that playground. And I think many of us have had our own histories and our own memories of being out on that field and using that area. And I think, to me, it's very, very special. It's a special area in the community. And I think on the common idea, the goal was to make sure that we preserve it and protect it and all of the virtues and the assets that are attributed to it. So, and my hope is that the legal work will help us, at least help us better understand what our obligations are and what some of the other encumbrances might be, so that whatever ultimately town meeting decides to do, because eventually this all goes to town meeting, so ultimately whatever the community decides, like I said, the various interests, assets are all preserved, you know, for future generations. And so I'm anxious to see the results of this legal work as well. So thank you, Dorcas, for bringing it up, and hopefully we can get to this, get some answers to these questions very soon.
And the other thing that people need to understand is like 4 or 5 parcels out there. It's not
Exactly.
all one
Right.
parcel. And a lot of what we've been doing is taking that key area and sort of reserving it as potential common, you know, because everyone, the common idea is really driving the whole site analysis. So
Right.
it may wind up that there is a playground portion, and that, but it's not the entire site. It's a very large site. It, you know, goes all through the Simpkins and the MacArthur and the field and all the way out to Route 28.
I think it's important to note for the public's information that in the planning process that the library committee has been doing, they've been very cognizant of the common approach as well. And They just understand that that's not coming within their purview, but they're also looking at their proposals on that site still are kind of keeping in mind that a common would exist on that property. It isn't like just for the library, for people listening tonight.
Yeah, I think what we're hearing from the community is that there's a very strong interest in protecting public access and protecting, the so-called Simpkins Field or the common area, as we've been referring to it. So I think that's one of the reasons why we approached this whole initiative and brought it to town meeting, is because I think we see the value in it. And so hopefully, like I said, the legal work can be done, and we can build future plans, based upon that. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
Tracy, I have a question for Bob, if I may. So I got a little bit lost. The shellfish testing has been done down there at the edge of the Lewis Bay?
Yeah, some shellfish testing has been done. I don't have any results or anything, but we
Okay.
can get an update on that from
I would
DNR.
like-
DNR's been
Yeah.
working on that.
Will you give us that, or should I reach out?
No, I can do it.
Okay.
I can do that.
And he's gonna be coming back to us too, right, with his plan for, when is his maps and the plan for the
PFAS update?
other, no, not the PFAS, but the other piece that you
Oh, the
talked
ways
about,
to the water.
ways to water.
He's not on our agenda, but I'll have to check and see when, I know he's looking forward to coming back and taking the next steps on that. And it's also incorporated into the capital improvement program to take the next steps there as well. So that's going to be ongoing.
And there was a mapping of the paths too, right, Bob?
That's what we were just talking about,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
the
ways to water is ways to water, but there was also walking paths that I thought he was making a map as well.
He's doing the ways to the water.
Just the ways to water, okay. Somebody talked about a mapping of our walk paths through the forests and so on, so that they were trails that people would know about, that they could take advantage of.
I think the Concom may have some
Yeah,
of that
okay.
information.
Yeah.
We have existing walking trails and maps for
It's
those
a great map.
that are in town. Yeah.
There's a map, there's a brochure, and there may even be something on our website.
AmeriCorps helped us with that, right?
They did, yeah.
Okay,
Recreation is.
Madam Chair, one question for the town administrator before we adjourn. And the question is, and this came up in a discussion separately, is there a safe streets policy sort of working its way through the town bureaucracy and eventually on its way to us to take a look at?
A what, Mark?
A safe streets policy. I have a habit of watching reruns of old meetings, and in watching a recent meeting of the planning board, there was a discussion of a safe streets policy that they were commenting on that eventually would find its way to the select board. So I just wanted to,
I haven't been
you're not familiar with that?
on the safe
All right.
street.
The person making the presentation was Amanda. So again, I'm not going to call Amanda. If you could inquire.
Yeah, no,
'Cause that
well,
could- that-
it's, I think I know what you're talking about. I suggested that we participate in this program that has significant state dollars associated with it, but we had historically not participated in it.
Right.
So it would take a big effort, and I asked them to look into it, but as far as I know, it's still in its infancy stages, but it's, to work with the state DOT. But I can give you information on the program.
Well, I'm familiar with the program, and I'm familiar, and I know many other communities go after these transportation dollars.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
We'll
other
be
towns do
doing it,
well.
But it's not.
But I'm just saying, the way it was presented at the planning board meeting was that there's a policy, they were asked to comment on it, I think they voted on it, and
It's nice to see it moving forward. We're not ready to bring it in.
well, that's what I'm asking, is there something out there in the works that's eventually going to come?
I hope
our way?
to see that.
Okay, so you hope to see it.
The email that I sent
Yeah.
you, Mark? Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I move we adjourn.
Oh, thank you, Joyce. Is there a
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you
Aye.
as well. See you in September?